The black girl looked at Elon Musk with curious eyes and gently asked, "Are you my dad?" The innocent question echoed in the air, surprising Elon Musk and filling him with deep emotion. The man, famous for his great achievements in technology and space, never expected that such a simple question could change the life of a family forever. This story is not about fame or money, but about humanity, sharing, and hope. And Elon's answer opened a new chapter. A chapter full of light and opportunities for that girl. Let's follow along right after this. Elon was walking down a small street, his mind preoccupied with thoughts of work. Suddenly, from behind, a small, hesitant voice rang out. "Are you my dad?" He turned around, and a little girl stood there, her large eyes as round as two beads, looking at him with astonishment. The girl was about 7 or 8 years old, with black curly hair hanging loosely, and a pretty face that seemed slightly worried. Her question made Elon stop, feeling puzzled and uncertain. A strange silence filled the space. Elon tried to make sense of the girl's question, a question he couldn't have anticipated. He walked closer to her, bent down to look directly into her eyes, hoping to understand something. "I'm not your dad," Elon replied gently, his eyes confused. "But why do you think that?" The girl didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked down at her shoes as if searching for an explanation within herself. She appeared scared, yet didn't move, as though an invisible force was holding her there. "My mom said, my dad will come back and find me one day," the girl whispered, her voice tight as though hiding a secret. "And when I saw you, I thought maybe you are my dad." The girl's words made Elon's heart tighten. Something indescribable stirred inside him. This wasn't just the question of an innocent child, but a sign of a deep sadness he had never experienced. He felt a connection, though he couldn't fully understand it. Elon remained silent for a moment before asking, his voice filled with patience, "Where's your mom?" The girl pointed across the street, where there was a small coffee shop with foggy windows. Elon looked in that direction and saw a woman sitting inside, her eyes tired and weary, as if she had been fighting the world and was now left alone. She sat there, gripping her cup of coffee as if it were the only thing keeping her from collapsing. A feeling of unease rose within Elon. He looked at the girl, his eyes gentle, trying to reassure her. "Come with me. We'll meet your mom." The girl looked at his hand for a moment, hesitation clear on her face. Then, slowly, she reached out and took Elon's hand, leaving behind a trace of worry, but also hope. He knew that this encounter would not only change the life of the girl, but it would also open a new chapter in his own life, a chapter he had never imagined, but was being written right now. The small coffee shop, once quiet, suddenly became loud when the door opened. A cold breeze blew in from outside, causing the thin curtains to flutter. The woman sitting near the door glanced up, then paused when she recognized who had entered. Elon Musk. She didn't seem surprised, nor was there any sign of admiration. Her gaze slightly dulled, as if she were seeing something too foreign for her to touch. Before she could think much, the girl beside her mother shouted, "Mom! Mom! I found my dad!" The girl's clear voice pierced the woman's heart like an arrow. She immediately set the cup down on the table, her face pale, her hands trembling. "Sweetheart, that's not your dad," she quickly cut in, her voice dropping suddenly, as if the pain was rising within her. Elon didn't move, just silently observed. These words weren't what he expected, but he couldn't ignore the thick tension in the air. Something was being concealed in the story, something the mother couldn't bring herself to say. "I'm sorry to bother you," Elon spoke gently, trying to ease the weight, "but it seems your daughter is mistaken." The woman closed her eyes for a moment, took a deep breath. She couldn't look Elon in the eye, and the words she spoke next were both painful and choked with emotion. We just don't know how to explain. The girl, she always believed her dad would come one day. And I I just can't tell her that will never happen. Elon sat there, looking at her face, feeling the exhaustion and hopelessness emanating from every word. The girl, with her innocent and bright eyes, didn't realize she was caught in an impossible dream. She thought this man, the famous one everyone knew, could heal the wounds in her heart. So, Elon couldn't leave without asking more. Is there anything I can do to help you? This question made the woman look up, her eyes filled with astonishment. She never expected someone like Elon to ask her this. A helpless and suffering mother. She couldn't understand why. But she couldn't deny that a part of her felt relief at receiving this concern. The mother remained silent for a long while, looking down at her daughter, then turning to Elon with a tired look in her eyes. We don't need anyone's help. The girl, she just wants a father. And I can't give her that. It's just... She paused, her lips moving as if searching for the right words. We've been so tired. Since I lost my job, everything seems to have gotten worse. My daughter still hopes. But I can't do anything. Elon didn't speak immediately. Her words sank deep into his heart. He knew this wasn't a simple story about a family in trouble. This was a pain that couldn't be spoken. A deep fear the mother faced every day as she watched her daughter dream of a father. He leaned forward, sincerity evident in every gesture, every look. Sometimes, we can't change everything right away. But I'm willing to listen, if you need. At this moment, silence enveloped the space. The mother couldn't speak right away. She looked at Elon as if trying to figure out whether this promise really meant anything. But deep inside, a faint spark of hope began to rise. She no longer felt so alone. The girl looked at her mother, her eyes still filled with expectation. And Elon knew that he couldn't just sit there and do nothing. But what he could do could only start with small steps, listening, understanding, and a word of encouragement, even if it was just a small part of hope. Elon sat still, his gaze fixed on the girl sitting across from him. Though unspoken, her expression said it all. A longing gaze, full of hope and worry. It was like a wordless plea, a call demanding change. Her mother sat beside her, her face slightly sad, her hands clenched together. The words she had just spoken were like a sharp blade. But Elon knew that was only the surface of the issue. He could feel the tension in the air, the exhaustion that seemed never-ending for them. This wasn't just about money. This was their life. An invisible battle they had to fight every day. Maybe I shouldn't interfere, Elon spoke, his tone calm but sincere. But I've met many people like you, struggling with life. And I understand that sometimes all they need is a chance to change, even if it's just a small step. He paused, a sense of hesitation in his heart. Not because he didn't want to help, but because he didn't want his words to make them feel forced or burdened. Maybe I can't change everything, but perhaps I can help a little. A chance to try again. A job. A new start. He didn't want the words help or charity to appear, because that wasn't what he wanted to offer. He just wanted to open a door for them, so they could walk through it themselves. The woman looked down at the ground, her expression unchanged. Her resilience was strong, but in Elon's eyes, he could see the helplessness, the exhaustion, and the tension. She didn't want to carry anything else. Thank you? But no, she replied, her voice soft but firm. We've tried so hard to stand on our own, and I don't want to bother anyone anymore. We will take care of ourselves. Elon said nothing, just listened. He knew this was not a rejection, but a cry for help from deep within the mother's heart. She didn't want to accept help, not because she didn't need it, but because she didn't want to feel like she had failed. But just as he was about to respond, the girl unexpectedly spoke up, her voice breaking the silence. Mom, please, let's try. Just this once. I don't want to be afraid anymore. I'm so tired. Her words were like a punch to the mother's heart. She paused, her eyes clouding with tears. trying to hold on to her strong exterior. But in that moment, she could no longer suppress it. It was the voice of a child who had grown weary of helplessness and fear, yearning for a chance to break free from the vicious cycle of life. The mother looked at her daughter, her eyes full of sorrow and regret. "Mom, I don't want to disappoint you again," she whispered, her voice trembling. Elon watched them, feeling a wave of emotion rise within him. He couldn't leave. Couldn't just stand there and do nothing. He understood this wasn't a simple problem. But he also knew that sometimes, even a small gesture, a sincere word, could change someone's life. "You're not a burden," Elon said, his voice gentle but resolute. "Everyone deserves a chance. And I want to help you find a way to change everything." The girl looked at her mother, her eyes shining with hope. And the mother, though still worried, her eyes softened. There was understanding, a gentle acceptance. She no longer felt alone in this fight. "We will figure this out together," Elon said, his voice now free of hesitation or doubt. "A new beginning. Not because you need my help, but because I believe you deserve it." The mother bowed her head, a soft sigh escaping her. But this time, it wasn't exhaustion, but relief. She felt like she could move forward, no longer alone. And the girl, now, only needed a nod from her mother for everything to begin again. After thinking it through, Elon started making plans to help the mother and daughter in a meaningful and long-term way. He didn't want to just hand them some money. He wanted to provide them with the tools they needed to change their lives. He reached out to people he knew in the right industries to arrange an interview for the mother. At the same time, he invited a financial expert to help them plan for the future. When they met again, the girl seemed overjoyed, her eyes brimming with excitement. But the mother was not so easily at ease. She still hesitated, unable to shake the feeling of doubt. Could this really be an opportunity? Or was it just a fragile dream? "Honestly, I don't want to get my hopes up too much," the mother sighed, her voice slightly weak. "Life has taught me that everything comes at a price. And nothing comes easily. Will this time be different?" Elon looked straight into her eyes, his gaze determined yet gentle. "I don't expect anything from you. Everything I do is just to give you a chance to change your life. You've fought to bring you and your daughter this far. I'm just the one opening a door. And whether you step through it is up to you." The mother stayed silent for a moment, reflecting on what he had just said. After a while, she gently nodded, but still couldn't hide her anxiety. "I will try. But I don't want to depend on anyone. We have to stand on our own." Elon smiled, not in the slightest bit rushed. "That's why I trust you." As they continued talking, the little girl could feel a distinct difference. Though she didn't fully understand the words they were saying, she could sense that something new was beginning to sprout in their lives. A feeling she hadn't had in a long time. Hope. Hope that everything would stabilize. Hope that her mother wouldn't have to worry anymore. Hope that she wouldn't have to endure the exhaustion. Although the girl felt a glimmer of hope, the mother still couldn't shake the doubts in her heart. She had seen it many times before, just when trust began to sprout. Everything would collapse. Could this really be a real opportunity? Weeks later, the mother started her new job. At first, it wasn't easy, adjusting to a new environment and new challenges, while still having to care for her daughter. But gradually, she began to feel the difference. A strong sense that she was doing the right thing. Every day she stepped out of the house, she felt proud knowing she was doing something beneficial for her daughter's future. Elon continued to keep track of their situation, but not as an outsider. He called, checked in, and was always ready to help when needed. The little girl gradually began to feel more connected to him. Though before, she had seen him as a stranger. Now she felt that Elon was no longer an outsider, but an indispensable part of their lives. One afternoon, while sitting on a bench in the park, the little girl looked at Elon and asked a question that made him pause. "Do you really want to help us?" Elon was surprised. But he could also sense the innocence and sincerity in the girl's question. He stopped, looked at her for a moment, then replied, "Because I see strength in you. Every time I see you, I remember that sometimes the people who seem the weakest are actually the strongest. I help you because I believe you deserve a chance to show what you can do." The little girl smiled, her eyes shining, as if all the worries, all the hardships of the past had disappeared. She looked at her mother, who was no longer gloomy. She knew that everything had changed, though there were still many challenges ahead. The hope in her heart was now stronger than ever. Both mother and daughter had reached a major turning point, and for the first time in a long time, they felt that life could be brighter. A year had passed since their lives began to change. The little girl and the mother were no longer the sad figures of the past. But now they were strong, full of hope. The hardships they had gone through were no longer a burden, but valuable lessons that had made them stronger. The mother, who had always worried about the future, had now found joy and stability in her work. She no longer felt alone in her fight for life. The little girl, once a shy child, was now more confident than ever. She learned how to stand firm, how to face challenges, and gradually, she realized that she could do many things she never thought possible before. Elon, despite being busy with big projects and a challenging life, always cared about this small family. He never forgot about them, even in the smallest moments of his life. Every time he saw the smile on the little girl's face or heard her cheerful laughter, he was reminded that small actions can sometimes change someone's life forever. One evening, when the family was sitting together, the little girl looked at Elon with bright eyes and said, "You're not my father, but you're the person I admire the most." Those words, simple yet profound, made Elon pause for a moment. He smiled, feeling warmth in his heart. "I just feel happy to be part of your lives," he replied, his voice soft but sincere. With those words, a new chapter of their lives began. The mother no longer felt burdened by worries, but instead, she felt confident and strong. She didn't just survive, she walked with joy and hope for the future. Her steps were now filled with determination and freedom. The little girl was no longer the timid child she once was. She studied hard, made new friends, and every day, every hour, she felt the joy of exploring the world around her. Her laughter echoed through the small house, a sign of a brighter future. Although Elon couldn't spend much time with them, he still regularly checked on them. He was not just someone who helped from afar, but a true friend who always cared about their well-being. He realized that, in the quietest moments, when all work was done, he thought about them with a strange warmth. And then, one day, Elon invited them to a special event at SpaceX. It was an unforgettable evening, where a rocket would be launched into the sky. For the little girl, this was a dream come true. She stood beside Elon, her eyes shining as she watched the rocket about to lift off. She couldn't hide her excitement, wanting to shout out in joy. "I can't believe I'm standing here," she said, her voice filled with joy. Elon smiled, looking at the little girl, and felt his heart warm. For the first time in a long while, he felt a real connection with those around him. The mother stood nearby, not only amazed by the event but also by how their lives had changed. She never imagined that one day she would be at such an event, beside one of the most influential people in the world, witnessing a historic moment. It felt like a dream she didn't want to wake up from. As the countdown began, Elon gently knelt down, his eyes focused on the little girl, his voice full of care. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice warm and comforting. The little girl didn't answer immediately, she simply nodded, her eyes glued to the rocket slowly preparing for takeoff. A brief moment, but it contained all the anticipation and hope she felt. As soon as the engines roared, a powerful gust of air rushed in, making their hair and clothes fly wildly. The rocket slowly lifted off the ground, carrying immense power. The little girl's eyes widened, unable to take her gaze away. her mouth agape in astonishment, as if everything around her had disappeared. It was just her and the rocket, a symbol of all the unfulfilled dreams. When the rocket had disappeared into the sky, Elon turned to the mother standing beside him. She smiled softly, but there was a hint of ambiguity in her gaze, as if she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. In that moment, she only needed a look to convey everything, a deep thank you without needing any words. Elon understood and simply nodded in response, his gaze gentle. No further words needed. As the months passed, the mother became more confident in her work and life. From someone who always worried about unpaid bills, she was now able to manage her finances confidently, and even began saving for her daughter's future. She had once thought such things were impossible, but now they had become a reality. One afternoon, when Elon visited, the mother sat down on the chair, a sense of peace enveloping her, a feeling she had never known before. Looking at Elon, she began to speak with a rare firmness. "I need to share a thought with you," she said, her voice full of confidence. Elon looked up, curious about what she was about to say. "Is there something important?" The mother took a deep breath, as if preparing before continuing. "For a long time, I thought we couldn't escape this cycle of hardship, no matter how hard I tried. But when you appeared, everything changed. You showed me how to open my heart and accept help. I no longer feel alone." Elon looked at her, his eyes clear and humble. "I've just tried to help a little." The mother shook her head, smiling softly, but in that smile was an immense sense of gratitude. "You don't understand, Elon. Your help is important. But more than that, you trusted us. You taught me that sometimes relying on others isn't weakness, but part of strength. That trust opened a door that I couldn't see before." Elon felt warmth spread through his heart, as if the mother's words had touched deep emotions within him. Indeed, these were not inventions or technologies, but the deep connection between people. These moments, these simple words, were more important than anything else. He sat there, quietly, and felt the true value of what he had done. It wasn't about accomplishments, but the changes in people's hearts, the inspiration, the trust they placed in each other. The little girl sat alone in the corner of the room, her tiny fingers quickly moving across the white paper, drawing images only she could understand. After a while, she looked up at Elon, her eyes sparkling as if she wanted to ask something. She smiled and said, "Are we like a family?" Elon did not rush to answer. He looked at the little girl, a warm feeling rising in his heart. "Maybe so," he said, his voice calm, as if he was asking himself the question. Elon's unexpected action did not spread widely through the media, nor did it create a public frenzy. However, for those who knew, it was a memorable story of kindness and an unexpected change. His act was not a remarkable event, but it had a special power, proving that sometimes great changes come from very small actions, simple moments full of meaning. Elon gradually realized that his life and success could not only be measured by numbers, inventions, or prominent achievements. Sometimes, the most important thing was the ability to touch the hearts of others, helping them overcome challenges, and simply being there when they needed a helping hand. For the mother and daughter, life was no longer just about the dark moments of the past. They began to notice the hidden strength within themselves. They were no longer victims of hardship, but creators of their own opportunities, overcoming adversity with love and resilience. One evening, when the dim lights illuminated the small room, the little girl looked at her mother, her eyes full of curiosity. "Do you think we could meet him again?" she asked. The mother looked into her daughter's eyes, a warm smile appearing on her face. "I believe we will meet him again. He has been a part of our lives. And so have we," she replied gently, her voice like a comforting assurance. And indeed, Elon never forgot them. Their story was not a meaningless encounter. It was a testament to the power of humanity, a reminder that in a world full of challenges, Small actions and quiet relationships can still create profound changes. Kindness not only eases sorrow but also ignites hope. That was just the beginning of a new chapter in all of their lives. A chapter full of laughter, hope, and belief in good things to come. They knew that no matter what the road ahead held, they would always have each other. And in that bond, they had found their true strength. If you like this story and want to hear more interesting stories, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos. Share this story with your friends and family, as it may bring them moments of relaxation and inspiration. Note, this is a fictional story, intended for entertainment and to convey meaningful messages. All characters, events, and situations in the story are imaginary. We are not responsible for any misunderstandings arising from this content. Thank you for watching.